welcome to the Lankan Talk Show. I'm your host, Samira Fernando. On the day where billions of Christians around the world celebrated the resurrection of Jesus, the small island we call paradise, Sri Lanka, mourned with the resurrection of terrorism. It is with deep sorrow we share the loss and the pain of the loved ones who perished and got injured in this massacre. There is no words to explain the pain of a child crying, looking for her parents, where in fact her parent is right next to her, perished. If this picture doesn't melt your heart or get that rush of anger, I question your humane. 18th May 2019 would have been the 10th year where all Sri Lankans celebrated the peace in the country without fearing for their lives after the Rajapaksa government ended the 26-year-long civil war and freed the country from the LTTE. It is needless to say that this organized attacks signifies the failure of the current government. And if they even have a little bit of dignity, they should step down from their positions and leave politics for good. Will we be lucky enough to see that? Probably not. Is there anything we will be able to do about it? Yes, there is. And this is the time that we need to stand as one and get it done and remove these 225 tumors that has sucked the essence of our country. Is today's episode going to be political? Damn straight it is.
Tonight, we have decided to voice what many of us are thinking. This statement is made to all politicians and all political parties currently representing the people in Parliament. On behalf of all 21 million Sri Lankans, please stop destroying the lives of our people. Stop playing with our futures. Together, you are all ruining our nation. You are stealing the people's hard-earned money. The people are sick of this. There is no hope in sight. Clearly, those in power are incapable of running our nation, and those not in power are not a viable alternative either. Together, they cover each other's tracks and pillage the people. The people are struggling. The economy is in dire straits. Education is in shambles. Healthcare is collapsing. The private sector can't afford to pay salaries. There is no growth, no hope, only despair. Please, for the sake of the people and future generations, if you cannot rule justly and competently, just leave and move out of government. While you have fattened yourself, your greed for power has left our people in a desperate state. You have sold our lands. You have sold our ports. You have sold our airports. You have sold our invaluable natural resources. You have even sold our oceans. To all politicians in Parliament, the people say, enough is enough.
I want to talk about the current world that we are living in. Most of our world is now discovered. Most have their sovereign land, masses, which is called countries. All those countries with their own merit and their history and their culture has their own identity. With the beliefs of a religion, most of the countries have identified themselves as a Buddhist country, a Christian country, a Muslim country, just a country, or a multicultural country. If anyone cares about history, more people have died because of a religion than in a war. The irony of that statement is that the war is initiated because one party does not believe in the other party and they want to conquer one party and force feed one's beliefs. Nazis versus Jews, Sinhalese and Tamils, Hindus and Muslims, Muslims and Christians, blacks and whites, Americans and the rest of the world. Now, don't go into nitty-bitty gritty details about not all Muslims are terrorists and Hindus are peaceful and Tamils are not LTTE. It's the label we all unfortunately has to carry when some idiot takes the Lord's name or a misrepresentation of a religious belief in vain and go do something stupid. Does any one of you know how many religions in the world at this moment? Any guesses? Don't take my word on it. Here is what Google says. Yes, I couldn't believe it when I first saw it. But hey, if it is in Google, it must be right, right? Now let's see how many countries in the world. Now, if all these religions need to establish themselves as countries, what do you think will happen? Isn't that exactly what is happening under our noses? Let's Google how Pakistan got created. Let's see what LTTE fought for. They all wanted their own sovereign land. Pakistan succeeded and LTTE failed. And let's see what is happening in Australia itself.
First tonight, the bold plan to build a Muslim state within Australia. The warnings have come from nervous insiders. They're Islamic leaders who are pleading with the government to stop it from happening. And as David Richardson reports, they're receiving death threats just for speaking out.
Sadly, my religion in the current situation is an absolute mess. I come from a lineage of Islamic leadership. When I am worried about what's happening and what I see from my community and religion, trust me that there's something going on.
A stunning admission from the Imam of Peace. The president of the Islamic Association of South Australia, Imam Tawhidi, is worried, and he's not alone.
Society is still worried. And when it reaches a stage where a Muslim Imam is worried, that's when something needs to be done. The agenda is to create a country within your country. That's what it is. It's to create another country or another government within the Australian government.
There are about 500,000 Muslims currently living in Australia, 2.2% of the population. But according to some, there are plans to massively change those figures.
There's a movement in Australia to increase the population of the Muslims.
Imam Tawhidi believes it's happening now, a plan to build a nation inside our nation.
So a Muslim community wants to buy an estate, name the streets Islamic names. Literally, they're naming the streets Islamic names of figures that in history massacred and killed people. There needs to be a new government body that investigates everything regarding the Muslim religion in this country, starting off with the leaders of the communities.
The finance comes from a wide range of sources. Mainly it comes from the Gulf states, mainly Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Kuwait.
Jamal Dawood wants the burqa and niqab banned from this country.
We are urging authorities to take actions, and we want authorities to take actions, serious actions, not only banning niqab and burqa.
He's no stranger to controversy or attack, often threatened, even assaulted for his moderate views. Right on the streets of our biggest city. But Jamal is no longer a lone voice in the wilderness.
Fined $100,000 for contempt of court. Their leader delivered a defiant rant following the judgment after he was forced to remove illegal structures from his Hawkesbury property.
Spitting and threatening to throw stones at council officers. The contempt was obvious. Today, the group Diwan Al-Dawla was fined $100,000, triggering a tirade from its leader.
The Southern Chariot is the real constellation in the sky. It's 7 stars. The Southern Cross does not belong in public space. It belongs in the dustbin of history.
They purchased this property at Colo last May and began clearing and construction without seeking council approval. Dr. Kara Ali and his brother repeatedly ignored court orders to stop clearing and remove structures they'd built. The group calls this property the Southern Chariot Religious Site. They own more than 30 Arabian horses, and they were building facilities to house and train them in defiance of court orders. They claimed that their status as a religious charity made them exempt from Australian law. The Charities Commission disagreed, revoking their registration in December.
The cross does not belong on public institution. George Hill's church does not deserve to have its symbols on public institutions.
In his sentence, Justice Sheehan noted Dr. Kara Ali did accept some Australian laws, including those which previously gave him tax-exempt status.
Our religion is prime.
So will you be
The
paying
cross
fines?
is not prime. It belongs in the dustbin of history. It should stay with Pell.
Brian Seymour, 7 News.
Now, if you don't know what is the Southern Cross, it is the most important part of the Australian flag. This idiot is saying Southern Cross should be in the bin and his star should be recognized. Now let me ask you the question, what is Australia? Is it a Christian country? Is it a multicultural country? Or is it an atheist country? Are you still thinking, or did you just said multicultural country? I'm sure most of you will say it is a multicultural country or a multicultural society. Not only you, but the government of Australia is also saying that. Here's what the website says. It is my understanding that societies makes the country. Now my question to you is, can you tell me what are the public holidays in Australia representing a religion? If this is an actual multicultural society, shouldn't Australia give a holiday for other cultures as well? Or are they as not significant as Christmas and Easter? When I say that, I tend to think current Australia is a Christian country, and I'm okay with that. Let's take the national flag of Australia. Does it represent all the religions and the cultures they call we are multicultural? Or is it just the food that they want from other cultures? Now, let's take Sri Lanka. What is Sri Lanka? Is it a Sinhalese Buddhist country? Is it a multicultural country? Is it a Muslim country? Or is it a Hindu country? You might doubt for a second, but let me clear it for you. Sri Lanka is a Sinhala Buddhist country, and it is the only country in the world that embraces that title. No one can take that title away from Sri Lanka. Sinhalese is so unique, and it is the national language in Sri Lanka. And the constitution of Sri Lanka is written in Sinhalese, giving precedence to Buddhism. I think that's evidence enough to say Sri Lanka is a Sinhala Buddhist country. And I hope everyone in Sri Lanka and people around the world should appreciate the fact and respect it and leave it at that. Now let's talk about public holidays in Sri Lanka representing a religion. Wow! Not even the Sinhala and Tamil New Year is coming first in Google, but Diwali. I checked it and it's not even in the alphabetical order. Public holiday for Poya Day in each month, representing the country as a Sinhala Buddhist country. Public holiday for Tamil Thai Pongal Day. Public holiday for Mahashivaratri. Public holiday for Good Friday. Public holiday for Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. Public holiday for Deepawali. Public holiday for Bilad an-Nabi, which is the Prophet's birthday. And a public holiday for Christmas. Can it get more multicultural than this? Unlike the first world countries keep screaming that they are a multicultural country or a multicultural society or any other politically correct terminology, which are only limited for their words, Sri Lanka has shown that it is true multiculturalism by representing its people's faith in its calendar. Whether this is productive and is it because of this Sri Lanka is still listed as a developing country is for another discussion. I hope you got the point. No matter how hard you fight, Canada will not give a public holiday for Vesak. Australia won't give a public holiday for Eid. US won't give a public holiday for Diwali. UK won't give a public holiday for Mahashivaratri. And Dubai won't give a public holiday for Sinhala and Tamil New Year. I think you get the picture, right? I don't want these countries to mend their ways to suit mine or yours. It's my choice that I decide to go to Australia. From all the countries that was available for me, I chose Australia, and I'm sure if you are a migrant, it is your choice that you choose that country to go and live the rest of your life. Don't forget that you choose that country because you loved their way of living and not your way of living from the country that you came from. If it is you that decided that to leave your country just because you don't like the way it's heading, why come to a country that has welcomed you with its arms wide open and fight against it only to make it a country that you left behind in the first place? If you miss it, shouldn't you be going back? So if you are a Muslim, a Tamil, a Christian, a Moor, a Burgher or any other that has decided to call Sri Lanka is my country, respect the Sri Lankan way. Respect that we have great history that has allowed every caste and creed to live as equals. For anyone that's still not convinced, let's talk about the Sri Lankan flag now. Can this flag be more multicultural? Have a look. Let us understand the meaning of Sri Lankan national flag. The line in the middle represents the Sinhala race, the majority. Right next to the lion is the orange stripe, which represents the Tamil race, a minority living in Sri Lanka. Next to the orange stripe is the green stripe that represents the Muslim race, another minority living in Sri Lanka. The yellow border represents all the other races, the minorities living in Sri Lanka. The bow leaves at the four corners represent the four virtues of Buddhism: Metta, Karuna, Mudita, and Upeksha. I think it is safe for me to say that Sri Lanka has showed what a true multicultural society really is and has given equal rights to all its citizens. So the question is, who is responsible for the deaths of the Easter Sunday massacre? The answer is quite simple. It's each and every citizen who voted these tumors into the parliament. They do not care about the lives that's lost. Look at the compassion of their faces when they lost their positions and when your family is grieving for your loss.
මේක තාම ඩිස්නි වර්ල්ඩ් එකේ වෙලා නැහැ. ඩිස්නි වර්ල්ඩ් එකේ වුණාම ඔයාට තේරෙයි.
They had all the information and they did not take any action. One of the minister's father, who is in hospital, knew about this attack and warned the minister not to go out.
මේ වෙනකොට තියෙන ආందోලනාත්මක සිදුවීම තමයි මෙය දැනුවත් කරලා තිබිච්ච දෙයක්. එහෙම වෙලා තියෙද්දි කොහොමද මේක වුනේ කියන එක සම්බන්ධ නිසා. නමුත් මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැඩි තීරණ ගන්න වෙයි. මේ වගේ මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් වගකීමක් ගන්න ඕන පුද්ගලයෝ වගකීමක් ගන්න වෙයි. වගකීම පැහැරපු පුද්ගලයෝ පිළිබඳව දැඩිසේ කටයුතු කරන්නත් සිදු වෙයි කියන විශ්වාසය තියෙනවා.
අපේ වාර්තා වෙනවා මීට සතියකට කලින් ආරක්ෂකංශ දෙමොත් සිටිය කියලා. යම් විදියකට මේක සිවිල් ජනතාව දැනුවත් කරලා තිබුණා.
මට තියෙන ලොකුම කනගාටුව ඒක නිසා මේ මගේ පියා ඉන්නේ නවලෝක රෝහලේ දැන් සති 3ක් තිස්සේ ප්‍රතිකාර කරගෙන ඊයේ රෑ මට කතා කරලා කිව්වා මේ පල්ලියට එහෙම යන්න එපා මෙහෙම දෙයක් ආරංචියක් මගේ පියා ඉන්නේ නවලෝක රෝහලේ දැන් සති 3ක් තිස්සේ ප්‍රතිකාර කරගෙන ඊයේ රෑ මට කතා කරලා කිව්වා මේ පල්ලියට එහෙම යන්න එපා මෙහෙම දෙයක් ආරංචියක් තියෙනවා මගේ තාත්තා අසනීපෙන්දී හිතාම මම අමාරුවෙන් ඉන්න අවස්ථාවේ යා කොහොමද ඒක දැනගත්තේ කියන මට ප්‍රශ්න.
The Prime Minister and the Secretary of Defence knew about this and did not think it will happen in this scale. So it is okay if it happened in a minor scale.
So these men went to Syria, they fought with Islamic State, a terrorist organization. They come back to Sri Lanka. You know all of this and no action is taken.
We knew they went to Syria, they joined the terrorists.
So these men went to Syria, they fought with Islamic State, a terrorist organization. They come back to Sri Lanka. You know all of this and no action is taken.
We knew they went to Syria, they joined the terrorist organ, but in our country to go abroad and return or to take part in a foreign armed uprising is not an offense here.
Well, we knew certain things were happening, but this country is truly democratic today. There is no emergency laws, nothing. Well, we knew certain things were happening, but this country is truly democratic today. There is no emergency laws, nothing. We never expected an attack of this magnitude.
But you had warnings about a suicide bomber.
Not to this extent. We never expected an attack of this magnitude.
But you had warnings about a suicide bomber.
Not to this extent. It's a isolated, maybe one or two attacks here and there and various things. We never expected it.
The main man got arrested is sitting next to a sitting minister in the parliament. Not only this is a national crisis, but some ministers have taken time to take selfies. What a country are we living? These dirty politicians are the ones who has divided us and separated us from one another for their own gain. Every single one of you have voted because you believe their fairy tales and voted emotionally, or you voted because your parents vote for that same party for the years, or your union leader says to vote for the same one or the same party. Remember, not a single politician or a higher government official did not get killed by this attack. Only the innocent lives that struggle day to day and small beautiful children that has years of lives were the ones got cut short. Except for the former president Mahinda Rajapaksa, there is no other recent politician that has done their job. He put the country first and ended the LTT for good. He was the only president who did his job, and we are forever grateful for him. Thank you. Like all Sri Lankans, when you get the one job done and get the praise for it, you simply forget the rest of the jobs you need to complete. Hence, Mr. Rajapaksa was sent home by the same people who graced him as a king. Mr. Rajapaksa was the only leader that many of us thought that will get Sri Lanka to its true potential. Unfortunately, after completing one job, he forgot the rest 999 other jobs that needs to be completed and got caught up in hype and lost his way. I have to say, if he would have got the law and order in line and imposed the rule of law, he would have been the president for life. Maybe the current government can take this history lesson and act now and go do something within the limited time they have. Believe me, Sri Lanka will give you an answer when you least expect. Unless it's this Lankan who think all Sri Lankans are claimed to be.
නවසීලන්තේ 57ක් මැරුණක දරාගන්න බැරුව මිනිස්සු වැඩ නවත්තලා ගෙවල් වලට ගියා. හැමෝටම දරාගන්න බැරි වුණා. රාජ්‍ය නායකයන් ජාතියෙන් සමාව ගත්තා. ශෝක දිනයක් ප්‍රකාශ කරා. ලංකාවේ පහුවෙන්දා වෙද්දී ඇදිරි නීතිය අයින් කරා. සාමාන්‍ය විදියට වැඩ කරන්න කිව්වා. හිරු එකේ ඩාන්සින් ස්ටාර් පෙන්නුවා. සමහරුන් බාර් වලට ගියා දුකට. ලයිව් උත්තාව පාටි දාලා. ප්‍රභාකරන් කිව්වේ සතියයි කියලා.
This is the time to become logical. If you don't cast your vote logically, there won't be a country we all like to call paradise anymore. Politicians need to do the work and show why they need our vote, not vote me and I'll do the work once I get into the power. As you can see, many claiming that they will end the debt of the country overnight once they will get the power. They will do this, they will do that once they get the power. For all those people, I say, don't go that far. Do something small that will change a person's life. You all have gone abroad many times and have seen how first world countries operate and their standards and how they care for people's lives. We grow first class tea in Sri Lanka and that get enjoyed by foreigners. Make a path that every citizen in the country can enjoy first class tea for a fraction that paying overseas. Our ladies make first class clothes for world famous brands like Tommy Hilfiger, Nike, Burberry and many more right here on Sri Lanka. But most of Sri Lankans are getting offcuts from these brands and sewing their own clothes. Why shouldn't all Sri Lankans wear branded clothes? Hell, we are making them. In Sri Lanka, they make the airbag safety impact sensor for Japanese cars. The quality and standard of that is impeccable. The chance it can go wrong is 1,000,000 to 1. Now, how about the standards of those who are working, keeping those standards up? Will any of those workers will be able to go and visit another country with their family when they have annual leave? Will they be able to buy a brand new Japanese car in Sri Lanka? Have you protested against cheap imports that does not pass the minimum ANCAP safety ratings and can risk everyone's lives who's traveling in that car? Have you stressed the government to make airbags mandatory for all the cars in Sri Lanka? Or do you think only the rich deserve to be saved from the airbags? Introduce those standards to Sri Lanka in small scale and make pathways for those standards to grow, and believe me, it will grow. I have seen people in general public are initiating projects to get a PET scanner to the cancer hospital. Why don't we see you who are hungry to come into power not initiating these? Why do you need power to change a person's life? People are not fools anymore, and they will not believe in those fairy tales anymore. We need to see less talk and more work. At first, politicians came into service as public servants and provide a service, but now they are looking to become career politicians and not providing a service and make the public their servants. You don't need a Mercedes to travel. Travel like a normal person every day and you will feel the struggle in the public transport system and the pain staying in traffic. You don't need to go overseas for your medical checkups. Go to the government hospitals and use the service and see how the public is getting treated. Don't jump the queue on a government office and go through the public channel and see how people with power treating the public and showing off their power and wasting time and not doing their job. Stop putting boards and show you are doing this project and that project. It is your job to do it and get the job done with standards. Stop wasting people's money putting up billboards and stop playing with people's lives. Impose conflict of interest. Do not get involved in the HR process and let all candidates interviewed by an qualified independent panel and hire the best person for the job. Your job is to manage and overlook, not take everything to your hand and micromanage. I hope this message is loud and clear. This is the time I call upon all my Muslim friends to come forward. Be a Sri Lankan. We need your voice against this massacre. Get those Muslim ministers thrown in jail who harbored those terrorists. Come forward and speak against this massacre on national TV and radio and in social media. Tell the world how peacefully you grew up with other nationalities until you grew old and got your mind filled with rubbish. Speak up to ban the burqa. It is a national security risk. Ask your fellow Muslim to obey the rule of the land. If another nationality needs to enter the mosque and need to cover their head, make sure you don't cover your head when you enter the temple. Respect works both ways. There is a majority and a minority everywhere in the world. It's okay. What we don't need is discrimination. Fight for that, not to topple the scales. Don't let them destroy our forest. Don't let them divide us. Don't let them tell you that you are in different levels than I. Don't let them tell you that you need a separate bank. Don't let them tell you that you need a separate university. Don't let them tell you you need a separate school. For all my Muslim friends went to the same school with me. Our teachers didn't teach you differently. We were all one and we need to be one. I hope never to see another tragedy like this, even in my mother country or anywhere else in the world. Let's all unite and teach everyone responsible for this a lesson that they will never forget. Leaving you with a heavy heart and a spark of hope to see a better Sri Lanka soon. May all your beautiful souls rest in peace. Good night.